pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Austriaco?
Here.
Collins? Boyle?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Owen? Here. Yusuf Abramson?
Here.
Bessel?
Here. Okay, we're starting our public hearing on the 2019 tax levy. Mary, do you want to share purpose and report on it?
Sure. Tonight, we provide an opportunity for the community to provide any input into our 2019 tax levy. The board adopted the levy in tentative form on November 4th. We published the increase in the newspaper, and tonight we hold a public hearing. There are two parts to our tax levy this year. The first is the cap funds, which are limited to a CPI increase. We anticipate getting about 2.39% more in property taxes from our cap funds, and this is because of a little bit of new growth. The other is our cap funds, but because of the debt that we sold as part of the voter-approved referendum, our debt service extension is increasing about 11.6 million, which will provide an overall increase in our property taxes of 12.3%. But tonight is the opportunity for any citizen in our community to come forward and address the board in terms of the 2019 tax levy. If approved tonight, it will be filed with the county before the last Tuesday in December, which just happens to be December 31st.
Is there any members here that wants to ask any questions or address the tax levy? Thank you. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Austriaco?
Aye.
Boyle? Aye. Lee?
Aye.
Owen? Aye. Yusuf Abramson?
Aye.
Bessel?
Okay, so we will start our regular board meeting. Call that to order.
Austriaco?
Here.
Collins? Boyle?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Owen? Here. Yusuf Abramson?
Here.
Bessler?
Here. Okay, so we start with our favorite, our 207's Best. This month's award is for the elective area achievement. And we'll start with Jamie.
Right, so thank you. I'm very excited to present this award tonight to Anaki Sosa, our senior. In order to illustrate why Anaki decisively represents what's best about Maine West, I have to pause and think about the purpose of electives, and that led me to think more about the very purpose of school itself. From her commitment to learning Spanish fully to her extraordinary experiences in culinary arts, Anaki showed me a lived example of everything that is most important about our work. She undertook her course of learning in Spanish and culinary arts with an authentic sense of purpose. She worked through trusting relationships with her team to expand her range of experiences. She found confidence and agency to ask for more from her life, and she asked for more from Maine West to give her the capacity to build that life. When I asked Anaki to describe her path to this notable experience she's having in culinary this year, characteristically, she turned all of the attention to her team. She spoke of her evolving relationship with a team that consists of Mr. Roa, her counselor, Ms. Mallon, her case manager, Ms. Baird, the aide who assists in her classes, Ms. Abelson, her visual impairment specialist, and Ms. Duncan, her orientation and mobility specialist. In her characterization, Anaki's early years in high school found her resistant to advocate for herself. They pushed me, she said proudly, sharing that in her freshman year, she, quote, went to them like a lost puppy. She would ask them, can you tell this teacher? And they would say, we'll help you, but why don't you tell her? And she said that she didn't think her success in culinary could have been possible in those early years, but that her team helped her grow to the point where she was primed for an epiphany as a junior. And that epiphany, I don't want to be a mess in college, which, you know, including my very own. So as they met to map out her senior year, Anaki became focused on life skills, making a plan to be on her own. And the team had what she described as a candid conversation about her life skills, noticing that her high school program had been thus far focused a lot more on academics. I got the idea then, she said, of taking culinary, and then she got excited about it and said it would be the base for independence with basic skills like cutting. But now it's gone way beyond with things like jambalaya. As I listened to Anahí, I thought her experience in culinary is a pretty apt metaphor for what we're supposed to be doing. She defined her concept of a meaningful life and got the support she needed to achieve it without cutting off her fingers. We start together with the basics and proceed to jambalaya, and all along the way, this is Anahi's journey, Anahi's path, Anahi's agency, and so should it be for every student. As this journey unfolded this year, some remarkable things have happened within the kitchen and beyond it. Anahi describes her team as careful to accommodate but not over-accommodate. As they set out to prepare for the work in the kitchen, they made and continue to make several adjustments that allow Anahi to access the curriculum in the fullest way possible. Everything I have, I will most likely have in my own kitchen, she pointed out, recalling her purpose in taking the class in the first place. From spice containers with braille lids to a talking scale, to a glass template on the ovens to help her press the sensitive touchscreen buttons more accurately. Anahi's extraordinary teacher, Teresa Harden, has found ways to clear obstacles that didn't really have to be obstacles. Because they all understand that they're working for a common purpose, Anahi's ability to live a rich, independent life, Anahi's team helps her shrink apparent roadblocks like a full schedule or the long culinary arts waitlist down into the speed bumps they really are. Because Anahi trusts her team, she's been able to ask for help and get what she needs. I know I come with a lot, she told me. You do, but not maybe in the way that you meant it. It makes me nervous when I don't know someone, but I can ask any question of Ms. Harden because I know she wants to help. That comment, along with everything Anahi said in our enjoyable conversation, speaks to the very heart of what school is meant to be. Anahi's teachers are thrilled that she's receiving this award and proud to be a part of her work thus far. She worked with Mr. Matan, Department Chair of World Languages, to chart her own path through Spanish because as a native speaker she felt she needed more intensive instruction in written communication. They coordinated a diagonal move, so a year move and a level move, so that she could advance from regular Spanish 1 to AP Spanish language as a senior. Mr. Matan praised her active ownership of her learning, highlighting her super attitude and great sense of humor. Ms. Harden praised Anahi's dedication and focus for learning. She went on to point out that Anahi comes in early every week to practice skills, calling her determination an exemplar for others. That's a quote. In culinary arts, Anahi excels while working with knives, gas, and electricity to prepare for a life on her own. So as these things are intimidating, she takes nothing for granted in the kitchen and overcomes every obstacle. These situations make us realize what we take for granted, but what we may view as obstacles in Anahi's way of life. Anahi's teachers highlighted warmth, humor, and kindness. It was clear that they had terrific relationships with her, which I could easily understand after our one-on-one conversation. In that meeting, Anahi shared something that I held on to as the lasting image of our work, her work in both Spanish and culinary arts. She described that Ms. Harden had worked hard in her everyday instruction to provide strong verbal descriptions of every procedure during her demonstrations to the class. I know how you're supposed to cut a pineapple, but I miss those visual cues, she told me. So I asked Ms. Harden, can you teach me how? She meets regularly with Ms. Harden during office hours in the morning. She painted a picture of how Ms. Harden works through the demonstrations again, narrating what she's doing, and then working through the procedure directly with Anahi to provide tactile cues. She places her hand directly on Anahi's hand to guide her. Then I try with coaching, Anahi said. As our meeting ended and Anahi went off to the lunch I had delayed, I held on to that image of them working together, hand on hand, so that Anahi could live that independent life she so clearly sees for herself when she leaves Maine West. And if there is a more beautiful representation of who we are and who we want to be, I get to see it. So on behalf of the Maine West High School faculty and staff, I'm thrilled to present this honor for electives to Anahi Sosa, who truly represents to us at the best. Anahi, can you tell us who's with you tonight?
I'm here.
Oh, he's here. Finally. My stepfather, Patrick, and my best friend.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Anahi, do you have plans for next year?
Yeah, I plan on going to college.
For psychology?
Did you bring in jambalaya?
Hey, Miss Brennan and I were on a pay schedule. By Miss Brennan and I mean me.
So Anna, we have some things for you. So here.
Is that real? Oh my god.
So it was Ms. Harden's initiative that helped us facilitate getting a braille version of the certificate from IPQ. So
That's a non-braille version.
There's a non-braille
One braille, one non-braille.
Ms. Harden is here tonight.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Well done.
Okay, Mies.
Hi, everybody. I'm pleased to introduce our 207's Best for Elective Achievement, Nicole Levant. So, kind of the first bit before we get to the electives. Nicole is a Schuler Scholar, and accordingly has sort of taken accelerated and advanced placement, just about everything, I think, in her 4 years that she's been in. So, a whole list of AP classes. Additionally, early on, as is frequently the case, she really took advantage of electives, did a lot in terms of her technical education. She had introduction to business, business law, and marketing classes before she really sort of focused in on AP and specifically on world languages. Additionally, been super active in terms of National Honor Society, National French Honor Society, National French clubs, an officer, National Forensic Society, and she has been active in debate, math team, Maine East Cares, our philanthropic effort, and the Maine East Historical Society. She's been very active in volunteering with NHS on at least a monthly basis, having been involved in the haunted hallways around Halloween. She's a regular and familiar face for guides for parents and families that attend Meet the Teacher Night and parent-teacher conferences, and has done quite a bit of volunteer work for Feed My Starving Children as well. Additionally, she's been a teacher assistant in French classes, in English, and in bio in the last 4 years. So has done quite a bit there, as well as being a French language and culture tutor. She's a volunteer in her church, holds down a job at Embark Senior Living, and I understand, as rumor has it, that she has been a fierce competitor in the powder puff football for the last 2 years, as she finds a little bit of additional time. For the Schuler Scholars Program, the program director, Carly Vance, shares, there's no question that Nicole is one of the most well-liked and personable students you'll ever meet. Beyond her ever-present smile and bubbly personality, Nicole is driven, independent, and mature. We feel honored to have worked with her over the past 3 years, and I have no doubt she'll continue to succeed in all that she strives to accomplish. As the only student in her Schuler cohort that came to Maine East from Emerson, Nicole had to acclimate quickly to her new environment. This proved challenging for some students in the past, but Nicole's honesty and compassion served her well from the very first day. Since then, she's proven herself to be an inquisitive leader who's not afraid to stand up for what she believes in. She's a strong student who embodies academic strength and perseverance, overcoming every challenge thrown at her with a relentlessly positive attitude. She embodies what it means to be a Schuler Scholar through her integrity, her work ethic, and her dedication to continual growth. All these things are laudable. It really is about her achievement in French language and culture. And so I don't let it slide off and put it in a letter. We're all here about her accomplishment and what she's done in French, but I understand she's also fluent in Hungarian and Romanian, and does free bowl in English as well. So she was nominated specifically by her French teacher, Bernie Lewis, who has had her for the past 4 years, and basically said she's done phenomenal work in French, and she's definitely worthy of this recognition. Besides doing superior work in all the French classes she's taken at East, she was Bernie's TA for 2 years, has been a French club officer for 2 years. She even did a summer of intensive French study at Middlebury College in Vermont, and as a result of her hard work at Middlebury, she was able to skip a year of French at East, passing from French 3 Accelerated to French 4 Accelerated at the start of her junior year. Nicole's a very motivated student, consistently participating in class by offering her ideas and opinions where appropriate concerning the topics discussed. She always completes her assignments, viewing them as challenges whenever she does not understand the concept. She's not afraid to ask for assistance. In short, she's capable of accomplishing nearly any task set before her. Earlier this year, after her Middlebury experience, we had her write a little bit for the principal's blog, and can I just read verbatim what she wrote? Said, my language learning experience has been door-opening and very enlightening. Persevered and started to gain a deep love for the French language. I ended up having the chance to apply to Middlebury, a liberal arts college, during my sophomore year to experience a French immersion community for a month on campus during summer. In Middlebury, I had to sign a pledge promising to speak only French for those 4 weeks, step out of my comfort zone to speak to any and everyone to help me progress. It was frightening when I went up to sign my name in front of professors and students. I didn't know proclaiming that I would give up English, also knowing that speaking was the hardest part for me. Yet, just like any other subject, I was riding a roller coaster. Some days I felt so confident, and other days I felt clueless. While at Middlebury, I learned that passion is all you need to succeed through all the highs and lows. By the end of the 4 weeks, I progressed immensely and was chosen to present my monologue at graduation. Something as simple as being asked to present at the end of the immersion made me feel like those 4 weeks were worthwhile and life-changing. This may sound typical of someone who spends a summer abroad, but I honestly believe Middlebury changed my life. Her counselor, Ellen Ibrahimovic, has worked very closely, Ellen, as counselor for all the Schuler Scholars, and I think he just kind of summed up Nicole's contributions and leadership at East. Said, Nicole is an all-around fantastic student and citizen of our school. She's consistently challenged herself academically with rigorous courses, has immersed herself in a wide range of Maine East extracurricular offerings. French is certainly her passion, but she's also stepped up as a leader to junior senior leaders, being teacher, assistant, tutor, Schuler Scholar, and even as a participant in Powder Puff. Personally, the most impressive aspect of Nicole is her constant positive attitude. She always faces the world with a smile on her face, no matter the circumstances. She's an all-around amazingly pleasant person, immensely resilient, and always positive despite any life circumstance. Nicole's always there to lend a hand to peers, putting smiles on their faces. Short and sweet, clearly you have done a lot to make Maine East a great school and making it better than it would be without you. Thanks for all you've done, and I'm sure you're going to have a fabulous second semester and great things that happen after graduation, so congratulations. Who's here with you tonight?
So my aunt, Miss Salmon, my mom, my grandma, my brother, and my sister.
Welcome. And what are your plans next year?
So I ED to College of the Holy Cross and hopefully going to do psychology and neuroscience there.
Great.
All right, so for this month, Maine South would like to recognize Mr. Billy Meyer in the area of elective area of achievement. So when I sat down with Billy in my office and we were getting to know each other better, one of the things that he wanted to make sure I mentioned was that his parents have been very supportive his entire life in his endeavors, and one of the reasons why he's been so successful. Billy is a polyglot, and what that means is he can study and knows multiple languages. Currently French and Italian, wants to hopefully get into Spanish soon. He's in basically our hardest coursework possible in every single discipline, and also has a real interest in photography. So he's taking, doing a portfolio in AP 2D design. Outside of classes, he's also on the varsity boys swim team and is in multiple clubs. He's the president of French NHS, member of Photography Club, Empower, French Club, Italian Club, Key Club, and Science NHS, and just NHS itself. He also, in his spare time, which I don't know how you have any spare time, but in his spare time he volunteers at the Park Ridge Library. He enjoys studying the cultural aspects, and I was asking him, like, what about languages really gets you motivated and excited? And he said, I feel like I'm actually in the country when I'm sitting in my classroom sometimes, and because of the ways that my teachers have designed the experiences, it just feels like I come alive. And I thought that was a really cool element of his learning. So Anna Serrano, Billy's French 4 Accelerated teacher, says, Billy has been a student of mine for the past 2 years, but even before I met him, I had heard about him from my colleague, Mrs. Cobb. She would always talk about how amazing of a student Billy was, and once I had him as a student myself, I was not disappointed. Billy is the type of student who sees the bigger picture. He truly wants to learn and works very hard to better himself every day. Even his peers recognize this in him, which makes him extremely respected. I could think of no one who deserves this more than Billy, and I am so proud of him. Billy's Italian 2 accelerated teacher. Tona Costello says Billy is the ideal world language student because he understands the true value of being able to communicate in another language. He has a strong desire to immerse himself, if not in only the language, but also the cultural traditions of the languages he studies. He inspires his classmates and the people around him to be curious about the world and go beyond the classroom environment to gain new perspectives. I just want to have an aside here because I remember talking to Tona, who is our department chair. And I said, about a month ago, I said, I need to have your name submitted for 207's best. And she's like, well, it's going to be Bill. It's going to be Billy. So I'll just talk to my department and make sure that we're cool with that, but it's going to be Billy. So you were a favorite from the beginning. He asks the most interesting questions and challenges me as a teacher to strive to be better every day due to his passion and genuine interest in learning. I am truly blessed to be his teacher. It's really nice. Jennifer Cobb is French 2 and French 3 accelerated teacher, says, I've had the pleasure of teaching Billy for 2 years in French class. To this day, he is one of the strongest students I have ever taught at Maine South. He is incredibly hardworking and continues to push himself to do his best. Thanks to his work ethic, his French proficiency has grown tremendously throughout high school. It is clear he not only has a natural talent for learning other languages, but also aspires to use his knowledge and passion for language in the future. As he is such an exemplary student, Billy has served as the French National Honor Society president for the past 2 years. In this role, he has been a leader among his peers as he has led the induction ceremony for the new French NHS members, organized meetings and coordinate activities for the group. Additionally, Billy is a genuinely kind and down-to-earth person. He is always willing to share his talents and help others. I am certain Billy will do remarkable things in the years to come. Finally, Stephanie Maximu, Billy's counselor, says, when I became Billy's school counselor last year, my impression was of a serious, somewhat reserved, and genuinely thoughtful and hardworking young man. As we got to know each other and a level of trust was established, it has been very satisfying to be part of the conversations that have led Billy to this point in his high school career. That Billy takes his academic achievements to heart is clear from a transcript bursting with examples of a student willing to challenge himself in every content area in a very rigorous curriculum. He has gone above and beyond. Billy is kind, articulate, and loyal. And certainly from the time that I got to spend with you to get to know you better, that comes through loud and clear. You are one of those people that the second I shake your hand or the second anybody meets you, I'm sure they're like, wow, this is just a really nice person. So kudos to you and your family for everything that you've done and everything you've contributed to make Maine South and District 207 a better place. Congratulations on this great. And can you tell us who's with you here tonight?
I'm with my mom, my grandpa, and my dad.
Awesome. And then what are your plans for next year?
I plan to study English and continue French and Italian, and hopefully extend Spanish.
Okay. And then do you have a career interest in mind that you would use those in?
I would like to go to law school.
Oh, okay. Great. There's a lot of lawyers in the room. Awesome. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go.
Congratulations to you all. Now's your chance to step outside and take pictures with your family, and you're welcome to return, but you don't need to. Depart, you know, your separate.
This is like your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. What are you doing? It's your birthday.
Yeah, she's coming back. She's got a civics. She's got a civics department.
Well, you make it great.
I got it. Oh, Haley got the call.
Oh, yeah. I'm just gonna put that.
So we go out to the left and the back and take a picture.
Okay, sure.
Here's the,
Any public comments?
this one's good. You want to put that up here? That's right.
cool is that?
So cool.
It's so cool. Okay, we've got a presentation coming up here in just a little bit. Jill is here tonight to do the equity. We'll wait until we get through the communications with the board. Since we met the last time, Sean and Ben traveled to DC to receive the South Award from the Department of Education for the school. So that has happened. And I don't have a lot of other stuff to report, but that was a really cool event. And so we had some good pictures from that, and some good swag. And Sean was gracious enough. I was in Denver at an apprenticeship summit to learn more about apprenticeships for our kids. So Sean flew out to DC and back in a day to do that. It was a hardship. Yeah, so
Great honor.
it's all good.
Okay, update from board members. Jen, I know you-
Yes. Well, it was a pleasure, myself and also board member Sheila Abramson, able to attend the Illinois Association of School Board meeting. We have a couple of very important, worthwhile, getting to know on a couple of resolutions. So basically, representatives from IASB members, school board, consider a total of 18 resolutions at the delegate assembly, which establish IASB's position on legislation and related matters of public policies. Assembly was held on November 23rd in conjunction with the 2019 joint annual conferences in Chicago. So as a delegate member, one of the important subject was regarding a resolution item called the school boards in Illinois have voted against a proposed resolution that would call for the Illinois Association of School Boards to support legislation that would allow school districts to set school safety and student protection policies that would allow trained armed school teachers and staff. For the second year, the proposal on this topic was not adopted by the IASB Delegate Assembly, and personally too, and along with other board members of Main Township 207, that we are not supporting this particular issues. So they don't know it. Along with this, total vote tally was 198 in favor of the adoption of the resolution and 249 against, which means total of 447 delegates were attended. That's one of the most attendees per set, maybe because of this particular subjects. So the intent of the proposed resolution was to give local school districts the authority to decide what is best for their communities in the areas of the school safety and student protection. And one of the main reasons that you got opposed or not approved was the major opinion that army staff would not create a safer environment for the students. And the related resolutions also another one calling for IASB to advocate for state school safety grants for hiring school resource officers for school security personnel. Personally, I'm not in favor of this too, but overall, it was adopted. Major 50% or more has been approved on this particular. And also, the proposed resolution that will allow a school district that previously established a professional police force to re-establish, it was also adopted. Along with a couple of more important items were approved on resolution that would support school districts considering social responsibility goals, such as preferences for businesses owned by minorities, women-owned, personnel with disabilities, and veterans in contracting has been approved on that. Along with approved a school safety recommendation regarding traffic zones, Also approved support for decentralization through Regional Office of Education of background check process for substitute teachers. Also approved two resolutions involving terms and seating of school board members, and also reaffirm existing position on standardized test procedures and student assessments, along with many, few others. So, again, this was a very important conference, worthwhile to attend, and we have learned a lot, and always recommend for all the new board members when, if you have chances to attend. Next year, 2020, the National School Board Association Conference will be in Chicago, so we have easy access. I think the date is April 4 through 6. I'm not sure, but just kind of keep that in mind. That's my report.
Sheila, did you want to share anything? No, well, I just want to repeat, with what Jim said, that I enjoyed the conference. It was very interesting. I definitely learned a lot. There a lot of the things that I attended focused a lot on, like social media and cyber. So I'm happy to share that information with my fellow school board members, but also just thanks again for the opportunity to represent and to attend the conference.
Also, a lot of free goodie bag on your table. Also, the booklet and the free pen.
There's no goodies in the back. though.
Yeah.
There's no. I think I ate all the candy.
No, there you go. So on the National School Board Conference is in Chicago this year, and actually Mark Ordonez and I are on a panel related to cybersecurity. And then we'll also be doing a presentation on our career advisement at the National School Board Conference this year.
Sarah, question. So were you at all surprised by how many members actually voted in favor? You said there was 190 that voted in favor of farming.
There were a lot last year.
198 is in favor, and 249 is not in favor.
It was
That's
relatively,
No, it's
it was closer last year.
It's closer last year,
Yeah.
okay.
The rules are hard to state, and the typical argument that you hear is that, well, out in, where they're at, it could be 30 minutes for a sheriff's officer to even get to the campus. And so that argument, and in a state like this, and that particular vote, which I think Jen was talking about, how high the vote was, that's bringing a lot of members down to that event. To vote for that. Now, here's the other thing about all of the things that Jen listed. None of those are binding things. Those are simply recommendations. They would still, any of them would still have to go through a legislative process, and that's a whole other piece of that. So the amount of weight that the school board association recommendations carry might be a lot, might be a little, might be nothing.
But at least it's coming from IASB board, school board members, who are thinking of it in that way.
And I'm just gonna add that, and Jim, you probably saw this, I wasn't there this year, I was there last year, but there are a lot of very, very articulate representatives that get up and speak on behalf of their positions. And,
There were long lines, and I was in all those lines to myself, trying to speak about why I'm not approving and such. I was trying to show the data about the gun crime rates and so on, but I keep cutting off because there's too much line, and just kind of moving forward.
Back when you were out of room, we talked about the Blue Ribbon Award, in DC, so that was such a great honor. Did you want to add anything to it?
I'm just happy to represent all the work from all three schools and all the work that happens from all the adults and students in the building. It was really nice, and thanks for Sean for coming along and Becca involved for coming along, so it was a good time.
I just wanted to know that you just came up with word out of it, so
Thank you.
let me speak to it. Okay, Finance Committee report, Linda.
Sure. Okay, so the Finance Committee was held on November 18th. Members present were myself, Farrar Austriaco, and Jim Lee. It was called to order at 5 p.m. There were no public comments. The first item that was on the agenda was the Township Treasurer update. And Thomas Albach and Debbie Bittner from the Treasurer's Office actually came out and they discussed a lot of things. One of the things they discussed was how they segregate duties. They also talked about that they operate much like a bank. They invest school funds like you would a bank, and overseeing the district's liabilities, assets, and cash flow in the same way. They also conduct monthly reconciliations and report quarterly to the trustees. They also have internal and external fraud protections by using strong passwords. We are receiving a healthy return of 1.92% on the recent bond proceeds investments. Mary Clue added that the district follows Township Treasurer's investment policy as it is more stringent than the state code. We also asked Mr. Allback to put together some data, and he's gonna come back with a narrative trend analysis with longitudinal data and benchmarks.
How about just a written report?
Okay. He'll submit it to us. You don't think he'll come back?
Is that what we asked him? I thought we just asked
No,
for a
I think
written
you're right,
report.
we did.
Yeah.
We did. Our superintendent, Dr. Wallace, also stated that the district receives great service and performance from the township. The next item was the TIF update. Ms. Kalu updated the committee on the activity in our district, specifically with regard to Des Plaines TIF number 7 and Rosemont TIF number 7, which are both building hotels and restaurants on two properties. The district received payment of $137,000 from the Park Ridge upgrade TIF in accordance with the IGA for new students and growth. Ms. Blue also added that we should see some activity in the new Des Plaines and Niles TIFs. The meeting was adjourned at 5:35.
Okay, buildings and grounds. What else was there? Aurora, would you mind?
Sure. The Buildings and Ground Committee met on November 18. Meeting started at 5:38 in the evening. Members present were Terry Collins, Chair, myself, Sheila Yusuf Abramson. There were no public comments. Talked about the construction update. We had White and Company continuously having meetings, buildings to choose school-specific finishes. Detailed plans with finishes will be presented at the next Buildings and Grounds meeting. Talked about construction budget update, which most of the meeting circulated on this issue. Pepper ran through cost estimates for package 1, outlining hard cost, abatement, furniture, design, and construction contingencies and escalation. The design contingencies are at 3%, while construction is at 7% for a total cost of $211,579,282, approximately $119,000 over budget. The soft costs, such as fees for architect, consultant, construction management, abatements, surveys, permits, and testing were also discussed. Capital projects were outlined for 2023 to 2025, and are projects outside of the scope of the referendum budget, but may be completed earlier using unspent contingencies. Early packages will go out December 16. Bids will be awarded on February 3rd. A special board meeting will be held on March 9 to approve bids, contracts. The flooring abatement begins at all 3 schools on March 20, which would be that would be spring break, right? Spring break. And construction work will commence on May 11, 2020. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 6:20 p.m.
Okay, construction update, Mary.
Well, the only thing I can add is that we put together, based on the finishing meetings, some PowerPoint presentations that we shared with the board in Friday notes, and we'll be posting on the website tomorrow. It's kind of the first look at the phase 1 spaces for the community. So I think we're pretty excited. I think the spaces look pretty nice.
Is it kind of a 3D?
So what they do is they're building it in a software program, and they can take snapshots.
Okay.
So they take a snapshot of the space and then export it, and that's what we put together, some snapshots of what the spaces will look like.
I showed it to the advisory council
Yeah,
last week.
that's
They
okay.
loved it. But we will have, in fact, the program that they use is called Enscape. We have the program here. So we have the ability, what we're gonna try to do is get some tours, so you'll actually, go around the corner and you'll see the space open up. So we'll try to get some videos that we can put on the website to show the community. Yeah, spaces are gonna be awesome. I wish we had an easy button we could push and just be done. Not have to go through all the mess of construction.
Says every person who ever did a construction project.
Yeah. I remodeled my bathroom last year, trust me, that was number two.
So do you want to?
Let's go ahead through, she said, I'm just getting her.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, are you done there?
Unless you guys want one thing.
Well, we gotta go to next. Do you want to go now, or do you finance?
Yeah, go ahead and do finance as well, Jill's getting the key.
All right, your board report is the October financial statement. You'll see that everything is pretty much in line. When you take a look at the debt service fund, you'll see a spike in both revenue and expenditures, and that's related to the refunding. And also in the capital projects fund, you'll see a spike as it relates to revenue from the bond proceeds that closed in October. Everything else is pretty much in line with the budget. You can see capital projects is trending slightly lower in terms of expenditures, and that's because construction doesn't start till May. So you'll see that notch up as we get closer to May. I'll entertain any questions that anybody has on the financial report.
About the tip update.
The TIP, number 12 did a lovely job summarizing it. The two activities are both in TIP 7 in Rosemont and Des Plaines. They're both building hotels. And those are the major activities from all of our TIPs. The remaining TIPs are pretty much built out. And as indicated, we'll have 2 new ones roll